Welcome to the studio, dude. Finally and officially.
Yeah, about damn time.
It is. The hat. Tell me about it.
Well, this hat, as far as anyone can
Also,
tell-
get the mic closer to you. You have to be able to hear yourself.
yeah.
Because I could barely
I got
hear you.
I got you. So yeah, story about this, or not me, but this hat is that it was back in 2014 where I was in college. I was peer pressured by my friends back then to like, bro, you should come to Anime Expo with us. It'll be great. I'm like, with what money? And I'm like, you got financial aid, bro. Just pay for it. I'm just like, I'm pretty sure I should use these for books. But I'm like, nah, okay, I got you.
That's funny.
Yeah. And because it was my first year, I was very nervous. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I decided, you know what? I'm going to try and do what most people can do. And usually they, dress up, they go out, meet with friends and hang out. But me, I'm like, I am a fish in an open sea. And I'm just like, holy shit, what am I doing here? Bottom line is, I got the inspiration to be, the hat is from a character from One Piece called Sabo.
Okay.
And Sabo himself, he was like back then, because this was 10 years ago, he was not even in the anime and he was only barely referenced in the books.
Interesting.
Yeah, because, everyone had thought that he was dead when in reality he was just hiding. Yeah, but the moment I actually came up, because I wasn't even fully dressed yet. It was like day zero, just went in to go and get my badge. The moment, because I didn't have a car back then, so all I did was take the bus back and forth from LA back home. So
damn, son.
yeah, every single day.
That's wild.
Yeah, and on the day zero, when I went to go in and pick up my badge, all I did was bring my hat and casual clothes. And immediately, not even like me trying to find the line found me. Because there was just one random stranger dressed up as the character's brother, Luffy, screaming my name. And I'm like, oh. And that moment for me was essentially the snap, the moment in time where I'm like, I got to come back here every single year now.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. And these characters are from One Piece.
One Piece, yes.
What was your whole draw to One Piece? Why is it your favorite?
Honestly, because most people would say, oh, it's the characters, oh, it's the landscape, oh, it's, it's story and everything. But more than anything, I feel it's because a lot more people can relate to the characters because of their suffering.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because, everyone can resonate with characters all like, oh my God, he's so strong. Oh my God, he's so cool. Oh my God, he has all these crazy abilities. Like, oh, he can get the ladies. He can have all the power he wants. But the fact that they actually show the true suffering of what someone has to endure and only to come out on the opposite side of that, being who they are now, is very reminiscent of a lot of people who struggle with certain, either addictions, disabilities, or overall just that hardship. Because, for them, they were kids. They had to endure that as kids, whereas a lot of us have to grow up just either, dealing with it, enduring it and all that. But when we actually see these characters for who they are, from what they suffered, and seeing how kind, how amazing, how gentle, and overall how badass they can be because of all that suffering did not change them for the bad. In fact, it changed them for the good. And because of them, honestly, that's probably the reason why I resonate more with One Piece than any other anime I've ever seen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Tell me about it. What's One Piece all about? What's the whole deal? You've been working tirelessly.
Well,
to put together.
It's a small presentation because I'm only going to give you some reference points. Because honestly, man, I honestly could not condense because this anime came out first back in 1999. That is 25 years ago. How the hell can I come up with an entire, freaking, I honestly wouldn't even know where to start because the beginning is so amazing, but the story is so long. So what I'm just going to give you is just a little bit of, what it is that makes One Piece what it is. I'm only going to give you just a couple of slides of representation for some of the main characters. And then from there, I'll just go off on tangent on, what's so great about it, what kind of story it brings to the table. And overall, why is it so goddamn good, even though it's been out for so goddamn long.
Would you say it's one of the longest surviving animes?
Not longest surviving, probably one of the longest ones.
Running?
Because there are a lot of long ones out there that even far surpass One Piece, but they don't have the pull that One Piece does. Because for anyone to even begin One Piece, because that is a commitment. I made that commitment back in 2012 when I made the decision to binge from episode 1 all the way up to where it was then, because it was already 800 plus episodes. Where
That's insane,
now it is 1,000 plus episodes.
That's insane.
Yep. All right, so just to kind of give you a better understanding, here we go. Want to hold that for me? Thank you. All right, so kind of give you an idea. So, what is the One Piece?
The world of One Piece.
Yep, the world of One Piece. Most people think, oh, what is One Piece? One Piece is a treasure. What is the treasure? No one knows, because that is the one treasure and mystery that has been eluding a lot of fans throughout the world for more than 25 years now.
Eric, can you slide the lava lamp towards you a bit? It's blocking the screen.
Yeah, let's just, make it visually appealing. So yeah, the wonderful world of One Piece.
Ruben, can you slide the laptop to the left a little?
Let's go for that. Sounds good. So, One Piece.
Ooh, I like that whistle on the mic.
Yeah. Yeah, he's taking his breath. I'm taking mine because I'm about to unleash a lot of facts. So he's like, I'm preparing my brain for a lot of input. Probably only going to take in maybe like 1 or 2 notes, but that's about it.
I should do quite well at retaining information.
Yeah. So, the world of One Piece. What is the One Piece? Most people ask. Some people will say it's a treasure. Others think it's an island. Others think it's what, whatever you make it, or it's the journey of the friends that we made along the way. Fuck that shit, man. It is hard, cold mystery that the world is trying to protect. Yeah. So, the world of One Piece. Statistics, background, it's an ongoing manga since 1997 all the way up to 2024, and ongoing. We already have 1,100 plus chapters. So
damn.
Yeah. Along with the anime going on for already more than 1,000 episodes, vast amounts of video games, card games, merchandising. Still has the Guinness World Record for one of the most sold, comic books series by one man, because it's already rocking more than half a billion copies.
Jesus.
Around the world in over 60 plus countries. So yeah, I mean,
damn, son.
I would say it is definitely probably the best anime / manga of all time, if not in all of history. Mainly because this is the one manga that everyone can say they've at least grown up watching some of it, because it's been going on for so long, and well, hell, we're already going to be going into our 30s, and this anime is still going.
I would say that most people at least know of One Piece.
Yes.
I did not until Ruben brought it up.
I knew what One Piece was. I remember seeing the trailer or commercial for the cartoons way back in the day, but I was like, no.
Yeah, that was during the 4Kids, back when people who didn't have cable still retained old cartoon shows in Saturday morning.
Yeah, it would come on Saturday mornings. I think when I first saw it on TV, honestly, I feel like it was Disney XD, low key. I just know.
Yeah.
I just know there was anime before 12 p.m.
Always either some anime, cartoon, etc. The lineup was really good though because One
Can't
Piece
tell
was because a lot of things back then they did have to censor because it's for kids. So some things that were more popular then that are super popular now were already like kind of like a bit censored just for the adolescent audience. But yeah, that is One Piece in statistics. So the world map, what the whole construct of the world map is that there is one continent and the rest ocean. The one continent, of course, that you can see is the red line, that encircles it, along the axis
Completely.
The only break that you actually get is actually at the middle, where it's basically where all the actual oceans kind of meet, but they're actually shooting water up the mountain side.
They're like canals almost.
Canals. Or
rivers.
Canals or rivers, but in this case,
Interesting.
the force of, water that's going up those mountains are pushing water so fast that once they reach the peak, they, essentially turn into clouds. Yeah, but...
Is this supposed to be Earth or like a completely different planet?
This is anime Earth.
So it's like Earth in the very far future after something.
Possibly. Some people
After Noah's Ark.
Some people can speculate because there is a lot of water. Most people can relate it to like, a world flood. Others think it's like, oh, this is just the world that we live in. Others say, oh, it's because
global warming.
How dare you?
Yeah. So the way the world is divided is there are four seas, the north, south, and east blue. Of course, blue, just, ocean, of course. And then the one that meets in the middle is called the Grand Line, which is essentially the ocean that encircles the world, but because it has its own set of rules like, logic, weather, physics, any amount of abnormality that is in that world consists of being on the Grand Line.
And that's where it's speculated that the One Piece is, correct?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. Though what's kind of interesting because what actually borders the Grand Line from the rest of the world, from the north, south, and east blue, is the calm belt. Think of it like when you see two rivers or two bodies of water, meet. They don't necessarily collide because what if you have, fresh water versus salt water? There's always that gap.
Mm-hmm.
But for the calm belt, it's basically a space in which water is still, dead still.
Interesting.
There is no tide. There is no current. It is just calm, dead sea. But of course, because of it being the calm belt, they're like, what? Why don't we just cross that to get into the Grand Line? Hell no, you would not even make it an inch without alerting what is known as the Sea Kings. Basically,
giant monsters.
Yeah, what Border Patrol is to us, that is the calm belt.
What is to us?
What the Border Patrol is to us, the Sea Kings are to the calm belt. Because they're territorial, they know what's up, and if anything gets up there where they don't even know, they're going to chomp that. Yeah. They can fit whole battleships, whole, bodies of water, and all it takes is just like, you know what, I'm going to shoot a cannon, make some noise, and not realize what the hell I do, and they'll come chomping.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not how you get to the Grand Line. No,
you have to get through the only entrances by going through the red. Yeah, the red line.
Red line. So you have to go up to the mountain and then come back down.
No, because the gaps that, there's those openings. Those are the only openings that will give you or essentially grant you access to the Grand Line. That's only if you can make it. Because it's a very strong current of water that if your ship can make it and over, you are in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Curious. Okay.
Very curious. So, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I did have a question.
Sure.
Because
did you raise your hand though?
I was. You didn't see me back here.
That's fair.
What do you got for me?
No. In the anime, do they ever? I'm assuming that those cracks in the mountain are actually large enough for the ships to pass through. Like
yes, they are large enough for ships to pass through.
But he did say that the water was going up.
But do they ever, like, how big are those cracks, like, in comparison to the ships around? Like, do they ever show, like, are they huge or?
They are very huge. It's because it's basically a sudden change in pressure when it comes to. It's like think of it like a funnel, because you have this big mass of water that is basically being funneled into the knock-up stream.
Yeah.
Or a knock-up stream, because that's the current that's going up the mountainside. Because that is the only current that'll get you through the mountain and over it.
He's talking like width-wise. I would say maybe like 4 ships. I'd say maybe like 4 ships wide. And my guess is like 4 ships wide because of the relative size of the canal river area to the landmass showing around.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's got to be pretty wide for it to be seen from global view.
That was my thought too.
But
it's got to be pretty
Yeah.
beefy.
Yeah.
so that's maybe like 4 ships, I would say.
Makes sense. So I'm assuming the ships in the show are pretty fucking big.
They're big.
Yeah,
big
I would
ships.
say, honestly,
big
because to put it
ships.
into scale,
Have you seen the live action? The live action would give you a pretty good representation, I would say.
yeah, honestly, probably
It's like
bigger.
think
Well,
like old school colonial ship.
Not
I would
like
say probably like a
not like Warhammer ships where they're like literal cities. Or
No,
no. Like battleship. Like you just think battleship,
Okay.
We're not that far into the future yet.
or that future.
We don't have electronics. There is no electronics, right?
No,
In
no,
One
no, no.
Piece,
When
no.
it comes to any kind of like telecommunications, their only method or system of telecommunications is called the Den Mushi, which is basically snails that have telepathic links with one another.
That's right. That's right.
And because of that telepathic link, they can mimic whatever they see and hear.
And what about robotics? Is there any type of robotics?
Yes, robotics
cybernetics?
wise, it mainly has to fall under Navy control or
Okay.
even the world government, because when it comes to like any
But
kind
it's
of,
not common tech.
it's not common tech. It is a very, very
Thought
like
so.
very secluded technology, because there is that technology in the world of One Piece, but it's very secluded to those
And
who
it's typically
actually study.
weaponized.
Typically weaponized, used against the pirates. Navy can use it however they feel like it, because the one person in the entire world that is essentially the heart and soul of all technology is Dr. Vegapunk, who is essentially the one man in the entire world that knows his shit when it comes to tech. He was actually referenced as the Einstein of One Piece, because he actually has that same look that Einstein did in his most famous picture of him, with his tongue out. Yeah. Any other questions? Well, like I said, I'm just gonna say what I have to say. If you guys want a little more
Not
detail,
for me, Professor.
if you want any more details, I can give you all the dirty ones.
Okay, thanks.
So yeah, as the story goes, we are actually following the story of Monkey D. Luffy, very ambitious boy whose only goal in life, like his only goal,
Nana? Oh.
well, aside from that, because he actually had a unexpected turn of event where he accidentally ate what's called a devil fruit. The devil fruit itself,
He didn't accidentally eat it.
it was because he thought it was just any ordinary fruit, where
For real?
everything else around him, they were trying to prevent anyone from eating it. But he ate it regardless.
So in the live action, that's not correct. How he ate it out of spite to prove that he could be a pirate and that he was strong.
No, that was kind of pretty much it, yeah.
Okay, so he didn't eat it by accident.
No, but for everyone else, they're like, did you eat it? Like, they were all like scared because they knew what it was. He didn't, and he just ate it out of spite.
But it wasn't an accident.
So because of that, fruit that he ate, and because it was a devil fruit, the devil fruit in the world of One Piece is a supernatural fruit that can grant the user or the consumer any ability depending on what kind of fruit it was. In Luffy's case, because of what he ate, which was the Gomu Gomu no Mi, he became a rubber man, essentially Mr. Fantastic, but with a lot more stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
it comes at a price.
Yes, the greatest thing about power when it comes to devil fruits is the cost, which is the inability to swim. So you can have glorious ultimate power, but put that person in a body of water and he will drown.
Imagine that, being a pirate with ultimate power, but you can't touch water.
I mean, shit, dude. If you wanted to, they can literally drown in like less than a foot of water.
So, does it even have to be like legitimately a body of water, or if he's standing in a puddle,
Well, it's only because of how,
like he's fucked?
well, no, because he can get wet. It's
Okay.
the being buoyant in water that he can't be.
So as long as he's not totally consumed by water.
Yes. So long as he's
Got it.
not, immersed in a body of water. Because in a lot of the actual story itself, there were times where, he drowned, he struggled, he tried to fight, the urge to not drown. But regardless, his body just cannot sustain his, buoyancy, and he just sinks and drowns.
So how does he come back to life if he drowns in the comics?
Well, he drowns, but then he has his friends to basically scoop him up out of that body. In one take where he was actually cemented, I think it was cemented. Basically, his arms and limbs were basically put in stone, and then they threw that stone in the water, and he sunk right in. So what did they do?
Some mafia shit.
Yeah. Actually, no, I think it was because he basically put his feet in the concrete. Like, he literally just broke through the actual ground and like planted himself just to lasso and hurl a giant sea beast.
Okay.
Yeah, it was an actual, think of it like a giant ass fish with the cow as a face.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so he literally grabbed it by the horns, lassoed it up and down all around, and just threw it out of the actual area. But then when it came to him getting out, he could not get out, and because it was already broken, they broke that chunk of cinder that he was already planted in, and they just threw it in the water. So he sunk. The only reason he was able to survive that was, even though you're underwater, you still have powers. So what did they do? They literally just pulled his head out of the surface. They stretched his long ass neck so his head could at least come to the surface to breathe.
A fun little fact for you
Okay.
guys. I just looked it up, and apparently it takes as little as 1.25 inch of water to drown.
Oh.
Also, Eric, if you get contacted by anyone, I'm sorry. Your laptop was telling me to seek help. I think the wording of my search was a little soft.
Oh boy. So yeah, that's one of the properties.
It's like you hit search and the suicide hotline popped up.
Oh, yeah. I just typed it and I was like, how much water to drown? And I was like, I should reword that. Because it was just like, seek help.
That's funny. If you're feeling sad,
Yeah,
call this number. That's funny.
I mean, hey, we're just trying to learn things here. Sometimes we have to, when you phrase it that way, you're bound to get the wrong idea.
So according to science, Monkey D. Luffy could drown in 1.5 inches of water.
Well, I think that would go for anyone, really.
True, but him
More so
'cause
them
Gum
because
Gum.
they can't swim.
Yeah. Feels bad.
Yeah.
Is it just an inability to swim, or can they, even if they knew how to swim previously, they just sink to the bottom?
Yeah,
of the
They
water?
just
they
sink.
basically lose all form of buoyancy.
They turn to stone. It's like throwing a rock in water. They just
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, it's because one of the interesting things about devil fruits is that, of course, bodies of water, inability to, swim. But one of the interesting things about the technology of One Piece is because the Navy goes after people, or specifically pirates, with those abilities. But then the question is, how do you keep someone contained or detained without having them use their abilities to escape? The Navy has a workaround around that too. Because one of the most versatile metals that they have at their disposal is called Sea Prism Stone.
Sea prism stone.
Yeah.
What is sea prism stone?
Sea prism stone is basically a metal that is basically, think of it like this. When you go to the very depths of an ocean, why is it so pressurized?
Mass.
Mass. So think of it like that. The stone itself is like pressurized metal because it's, mined from the bottom of the ocean. Because it
Interesting.
is pressurized, it contains the essence of the sea.
I see.
And
So when they're put into that space, it's as if they were in water.
no, when they're basically touched, the metal itself,
Mm.
they basically feel the effects of water,
I see.
or at least the well, in all sense, it's basically when they actually make handcuffs out of them, the sea prison stone cuffs.
Mm-hmm.
The ocean is basically binding them,
Yeah. So it also takes
takes
away
away
their
their
power.
ability to use the power.
I see. I see.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
Very interesting indeed.
Okay, so that's Luffy.
Yeah, and you may ask, what is Luffy? Well, he's a rubber man who only wants nothing more. He wants two things in life. He wants only two things in life:
That's funny.
meat
Uh-huh.
and to become king of the pirates.
How
The
much,
animation is pretty dope.
how much control does Luffy have over his rubber abilities?
Think of it like, well, his appendages are basically like, rubber bands. He can stretch them as far as he can. He could strain himself, of course, but because he had basically take on that ability since he was a child, he was able to hone the ability of that skill to basically propel him even further beyond that, adolescence. Because he was able to, originally, he thought he can use his fists as projectiles because if he can stretch as far as he can reach,
He can use the sling and pull.
yeah. Same way, you pull back on a slingshot and then let go, except the slingshot is your fist, and then you're basically breaking, whatever you want to punch. In his case, it took him years to develop the strength and durability to basically break stone with one punch.
That's a different anime.
That is a different anime.
But why he just take deep breath, hyperinflate his lungs, and just book it along the bottom of bodies of water? Because he can stretch his entire body, right? So he
Yeah,
could literally
and,
just
'cause
take like
one
an
of the,
infinitely large breath and just get all swole.
Well, he does, and that's his one of his signature moves called Gum Gum Balloon.
He has done that, and he launched a cannonball back at a ship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about One Piece,
I don't
but for
either.
some reason I know a fair amount about it. Because-
the Netflix adaptation.
Well, beyond that, I think it's just time shared with you and hearing about it as well.
Mm.
I don't know the story, but I know about I know about One Piece, but I
Mhm.
don't know the actual story arc. But the Gum Gum fruits, it's basically skill, right? If you take the time to learn your power,
To
then you
hone it,
understand how to control it, how-
basically, yeah, because like anyone, they have to learn how to control it because the thing about the devil fruits is that they come in 3 types.
interesting.
Yeah, there are 3 specific types of devil fruits because it has to do with the way the power is and how it affects you. Like one of them is called paramecia, which honestly has to do with, I think that one specifically, if I remember correctly, had to do with supernatural abilities because it like paramecias can come in all shapes and sizes. Some that allow you to basically dismember yourself and reassemble yourself. Others allow you to talk to animals, control them. Some allow you to basically alter matter in some way. That's like paramecia.
Okay.
The other one is called Zoan, which has to do with transformation. Oftentimes, Zoan type devil fruits have to relate to like animals in a way. Like, oh, if you eat the Zoan type for a wolf, you can become a wolf, or you can become essentially, you have the ability to transform into a full wolf or basically a man beast.
So quick little check. Paramecia is apparently the most common type of devil fruit, and it grants their users any one of a wide variety of superpowers, including things like shockwave generation and target locks. Can alter the user's body, granting them slippery physique, a body of blades, or the ability to split their own body into pieces. Basically, just modifies the body of the user essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zoa, just fucking boop the mic.
Not gonna be the last.
Yeah, Zoan
Wasn't the first.
transform into a specific animal as well as hybrid forms.
Mm-hmm. Like the man beast or the full on. And because of when it comes to Zoan types, they also have mythical Zoans.
There's ancient, mythical, and artificial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the artificial ones are part of one of the research that has to do with the science of basically creating their own.
So what is the one that Luffy ate?
The gum gum fruit,
One that falls into.
paramecia.
Interesting.
But that's only as that.
Is he the only Gum Gum, or is there others like him?
No, well, not necessarily, because there are certain like abilities that can almost mimic, but not exactly match certain abilities. Like you can have the ability to generate heat, but then there's also the ability to generate fire. So it's like, what is the power? If one can generate heat, like they can actually make their body temperature actually be like so hot they can melt rock. Or, you know, like fire generation where they can become fire. Nothing phases them. They can just generate a large amount of flame and then projectile, you know, just let it go. Or another one, which is magma, because another form of fire, which is liquid or molten rock, as an ability to, you know, generate lava and then project it and things like that. So it's like, it's always about like the category of that power. It may be similar to how it is, but it still has like, oh, it could be weaker. It could be a weaker form of it or a higher form of it.
Interesting. Now, on forms, you're talking about skill, and he spent a lot of time honing his, and we're talking about Luffy. What are the gears?
The gears have to do with his accelerated, because he's rubber, he's elastic. His organs, the way our organs work is that they have to pump blood at a very specific rate for us, like when we're doing a high endurance or even high speed, because our body has to pump the blood as quick as our heartbeat can manage it and circulate it through our bodies. The gears themselves is basically Luffy tapping into that same logic, but he's pumping the blood faster than anyone else can because his body can expand so it can retain more, you know, motion or more flow, more pressure.
Interesting. I see.
That's second gear.
I see.
Because during his second gear, he's generating enough blood pressure and heat to the point where his sweat is being vaporized.
Okay.
Yeah. Like he doesn't sweat. He steams.
That's gear 2.
That is gear 2. And when
with
it comes
each gear, he's getting stronger, or what's happening?
It's a form of strength. It has to do with a form of strength. Because with gear 2, he's accelerating his own heart rate and blood pressure to the point where, you know, his body is generating so much energy that he can actually reach.
Like imagine being able to control your fight or flight. Like he's literally cranking himself into a higher gear, essentially.
Yeah. So much so that he can actually punch at the speed of sound. That's why it's called, you know, a jet pistol or jet stamp or jet rocket. Because it's faster than most people can actually see.
And that's why in these figurines, there's wind coming off of his feet.
Technically, yeah. Yeah, for these little statues, well, because normally when he's fighting this guy, he's always in his second gear, and because he needs to match the speed of the other guy, which...
Every time he's fought him, he's been in his second gear.
Yeah, only because when it came to their first tussle, he got his ass kicked, and he made that mistake once, but never again, because he knew when it came to people that basically matched his strength or that were even greater than him, he needed to make sure that he was careful of how he, you know, dukes them.
And during this match, is that where or after that, is that where he learned second gear?
No, it was before. Second gear for him was just something that he basically had, you know, in his batch of aces up his sleeve.
Just in case, pretty much.
Just in case, like if the need ever came to it,
I see.
he would have that as a as a trump card.
Mm-hmm.
Because for a lot of the previous enemies that he's fought in the past, he has had trouble even managing his own like speed and power in comparison to how this person might be faster than me, so I gotta be smarter. If this person is stronger than me, I gotta be quicker. Just trying to figure out what actual abilities his opponent can have versus the ones that he already has against. Because if you want to go more into the gears, second gear is where he's basically allowing himself to accelerate at a faster rate. He basically can move at the speed of sound. Third gear is where he basically, because normally when it comes to him inflating, he's usually just taking in a big, big breath of air and inflating his own body. He's expanding his lungs to the point where his body can just, become a balloon. Third gear is when he's actually inflating because he has to bite into his own thumb to basically blow his own hand up like a balloon. But what he's actually doing is he's biting into his own body so that he can create an opening through his skin to inflate his bones and muscle.
His bones?
Yes.
Okay.
That's, well, yeah, because if he can expand, it's rubber bones, bro.
Everything of him
Everything is rubber.
That's why he can't break a bone. That is why he can stretch. Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, that's more like he can just jump off any cliff and not worry about breaking anything because he's rubber. He can make his own airbag.
That's true.
Yeah.
He's his own parachute.
He's his own parachute. He's his own airbag. And overall, he can practically do it all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
He's okay. Him or Superman.
Honestly, most people would agree it would be Superman, but in my honest opinion,
That's
because it's like you got unstoppable, like you got the unstoppable versus the unprobable. Because with Luffy, he can practically do anything, especially with his newfound powers. He can generate matter.
Gear 5? Is it Gear 5?
That is Gear 5. Because
why does he turn to fire in Gear 5? Is because he generates so much heat?
No. It's more of an awakening ability. It's another transformation that has to do with his ability because most people thought the gum fruit was a paramecia because it has to do with body manipulation. So his body gets to manipulate in any way, shape, or form that he can.
Mm-hmm.
But when he had Gear 5, that's a body transformation. That's a Zoan type ability. And it wasn't revealed to us until just recently when we had, the battle with Kaido, was when it was finally unveiled to us that it wasn't considerably called the gum fruit. It was a mythical Zoan Nika fruit.
A what?
Nika, meaning sun.
Interesting.
Yes, the sun fruit. Or in this case, because he
like
essentially turns
the sun in the sky.
Yeah, because Nika is the sun god of One Piece. And because of that fruit alone, he essentially gets to transform himself and his environment the way he imagines it. Like the reason why, like he's been rubber his whole life. So every time he goes into
the sun has flares.
Well, sun has style too.
Yeah.
So anything around him, he basically gets to manipulate however he wants. Like the very earth that he stands in, it could be, solid rock, but he makes it into a trampoline.
Okay.
He can expand his own body to basically become a giant. He can he can alter matter even if it's like something physics can only explain is impossible.
But he's not always doing this.
No. This is just recently because of all the, comeuppance with emperors that he's taken himself upon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then to move forward on your presentation, what's next?
Well, we've already been talking nothing but Luffy.
Facts.
We got to expand on that. We got to talk about the crew. Because one of the things that Luffy has to do, because if he wants to be king, he needs to know what it was like to be king before that. Because there are a lot of stories of the previous king of the pirates, which was D. Roger, also known as Gold Roger because they put gold and the D together to make gold. Yeah. Honestly, but this guy, holy hell, this guy. He managed to conquer the Grand Line without any devil fruits. Because what, Gold Roger had that a lot of people didn't was the ability to control haki, which is essentially a form of power that has to do with someone's will.
So he could control other people's will.
Not really. It's more like think of it like this: when you have the will to why do you think monks can break through solid, brick, solid rocks? They can take a lot of
control of his will.
It's the control of his own will to basically either harden his own body or even be as strong as he can be. Because one of the things that Gold Roger had that a lot of people didn't, it's a form of haki called Conqueror's haki. It's where he can basically erupt his own will among others. Think of it like how, it's like the chi for a Super Saiyan or, any kind of energy that you have inside that you can basically erupt in a wave that if people are in that wave, if they have the will to tolerate it, they will still stand. But if they don't have the strong enough will to tolerate it, they will fall, essentially knocking themselves out. Because Conqueror's haki can do that. It can make people just faint by the sheer explosion of that will. Yeah. Interesting stuff, huh?
Yes. So doesn't eat a devil fruit. He has intense will and powers with that. What's his crew like? Does he have devil fruit people in his crew? Or no?
No.
Just straight natural men.
Yeah, natural chads that basically say, you know what, we're not going to use any power whatsoever. We're just going to use our own. And my God, do they kick ass.
Those are the most ruthless pirates, I assume.
Yes.
Okay. So what's their story?
Well, for a lot of the actual crew of the old, Roger pirates, some of them went into retirement. Others, because the thing was, once he conquered the Grand Line, he found the truth of the world. And because of that truth, he got to name the goal at the end of everything, which he called Laugh Tale, which was basically the hidden island that the entire world could never find in over 800 years. And he found it.
And what was on this island? Or why were people looking for it?
Because it is the secret of the world that has been hidden from everyone for the past 800 years.
Is that the One Piece?
That is the One Piece.
So the One Piece is just history.
It's not just history, but it's how it relates to where we are now. It could be, it's not just the history of One Piece. It's the secret of why we are where we are now.
So if you find that island, you find the One Piece, essentially.
The One Piece is the secret to the world. And by claiming it, you are claiming the title of Pirate King.
So if you were to be Pirate King and somebody else goes and finds that island, could they then be Pirate King? Or do they have to fight you?
No, not really. I mean, because the thing about the actual One Piece, because the secret that even trying to find the One Piece is one thing, because it has to do with the secret codes that are inside poneglyphs, which is essentially what we call a monolith, but poneglyphs are basically indestructible stones that have been etched with hieroglyphs that encode the secret of that century, in which holds the secret to the One Piece.
Okay. I'm going to guess that the hidden island has to be somewhere amongst the rivers that are flowing up.
Some would say that. Others can differ. Because the actual poneglyphs are, the actual stones are giant blue marble-like, structures.
The fuck? Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe they're just randomly in the middle of the ocean somewhere?
well, some can be under the ocean, some can be deep within islands, others in mountain
There's
structures.
multiple.
There are thousands of poneglyphs. But the only poneglyphs that you ever need to find the One Piece are the road poneglyphs. These are red. These essentially are the keystones to finding the One Piece. But finding them is one thing, and actually taking them is another. Because by finding these road poneglyphs, you essentially find the keys that will unlock the way to find the One Piece. Because if there are 4, if you can find all 4 and match what like the latitude and the height and like the actual coordinates, it would actually like X marks the spot essentially. By aligning those 4 poneglyphs in a map and actually, crossing where they all meet, right there, where they all meet, X marks the spot, is where the One Piece is said to be.
How large are these things?
I would say. Wait, Daniel, what was that one giant cube in that one place that is considered to be a? What was it?
Stonehenge.
No, not Stonehenge. It's a has to do with faith. A big black stone.
Mecca?
Huh?
Mecca?
Yeah, like that. I would say it would be like that because that's my only key reference of how.
Bulk, are you supposed to put 4 of them bitches together?
The thing is, you don't need to put them together. You just gotta make sure you know what's on them.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because they are like hieroglyphs. So
that's where Nami comes in.
Nami, she's the one who reads the map.
You have to read every face, so including the ones that are pointing to the ground.
No, it's just one side.
Oh,
it's just the one side.
Oh, that's easy.
But the way they actually get them is it's a very simple trick because they just get a giant sheet of paper and then they just use like charcoal or chalk or some
Makes
kind
sense.
of like,
They rub
sketching.
it over the stone.
Rub it over the stone so that
And
it
they rub the
imprints
paper over
onto
it.
the paper.
That's how people would steal credit cards back in the day.
Yeah, that's how they did it.
If you guys look at the 2 bottom gifs on the screen, you can see that Luffy's hat literally grows with him.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Because the actual hat itself is very symbolic because how people see
Why
it
does Luffy turn into a ginger first? Oh, never mind. That's the dude that gives him the hat. My bad.
Yeah, no, that's Shanks.
Doesn't make sense.
That is the one man that Luffy basically sees as
Looked up to.
Yeah, his mentor because
I
of
thought he was
Shanks.
the One Piece.
No, because Shanks is the one person that Luffy, while growing up, always looked up to because they would always hang, they'd always talk, they'd always look after one another. But Shanks himself was actually a part of Roger's crew.
Goldie Roger.
Goldie Roger.
No way.
Yeah.
For real, for real?
Yeah.
That's
How Luffy was.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was basically how old Luffy was to Shanks, Shanks was to Roger.
Damn.
Do they ever discuss who set up all of the stones? Or like how they got there and
the stones themselves,
because you said they're indestructible, right?
Yeah, they are indestructible because they were actually made in it's called the country of Wano, or the kingdom of Wano, which has to do with basically it's like a Edo period-esque island, because that one it was more popular with a lot of people because they had a lot of Japanese traditional architecture, structure. They don't have a king, they have a shogun.
Speaking of Shogun, have you seen the show?
I've seen the show, and that shit is
seen the show.
awesome. I think you would like it.
So I'm assuming
Probably, yeah, like samurais.
nobody currently has the technology to like further inscribe, so like you can't damage the stones to prevent anyone else from finding, or like try to like change the inscriptions to trick people.
Like you can't. Well, because you can because it's a very sacred text for for the characters of One Piece. There are only a very select few that can either read it and write it.
Which is an ancient language.
Yeah, a super ancient language that was inscribed onto those indestructible stones so that they can withstand the test of time, So basically, it's like a time capsule in a way.
There's only a few chosen individuals that can read the inscriptions to protect the knowledge from the forefathers of what was.
Indeed. Yeah.
So Goldie Roger,
Mm-hmm.
he has a crew. It starts. Why is he important in the story besides having the One Piece or finding the One Piece?
Well, the importance of Roger was basically the one who basically challenged it, because he had already,
He challenged the One Piece.
no, he challenged the world to find the secret of that world.
Oh, I see.
But because he was just any other pirate who was hunted by the Navy, because back then, there was, lots of piracy, and the government that would fund the Navy to basically find and capture, kill, and restore their symbolic peace. But with Roger, he noticed that, because he already essentially took a lap around the world, but said, "This isn't it." This because he's already been around the world once, but he just didn't find exactly what it was that made the Grand Line so grand. Because where the Grand Line is one section of the world. The other half, that is divided by the Red Line, it's called the New World, which is still the Grand Line, but it's the other side of the world that is far beyond greater than that of the Grand Line.
So majority of where this story takes place is on one half of the world.
That was the first half before the time skip, yes.
Time skip.
Yeah.
What time skip?
The time skip of 2 years after the Great Paramount War.
I need context, homie. What? 2
This is like
years after
those-
the Great.
This is like those tutorials that are like draw 2 circles, and now it's an owl.
Okay, you want, let me
feel
actually,
like-
okay,
feel
let
like
me
we
just
skipped
get you
some
through
details
some of the
there.
context
Yeah, I know. I was
beforehand.
just like, what?
So let me kind of just give you a breakdown through the whole story with just some of the characters, and then I'll get to that main section of how it all ends up. All right.
Okay.
So to start off, when Luffy sets out in his journey to find the One Piece, become a great pirate, to prove to Shank, but also to become king of the pirates, because that's what he's been saying for all of his life, he needs to find a crew.
Yes.
And what does he do to find a crew? He gets washed up in a
LinkedIn.
barrel, found by a pirate, and then happens to just make friends with a scrub kid that eventually becomes one of his greatest friends / rivals. Because the same way that Luffy wants to become king of the pirates, his friend, that kid, scrawny kid that he found just being abducted by pirates and only has the goal of becoming an admiral of the Navy, their paths meet, and where they separate is actually kind of awesome, because during that whole process, he finds, his friend. He actually gives him to the Navy essentially while running away, because he's like, no, he's a pirate. I don't like him. He's evil. He's evil. And because of that, he got enlisted into the Navy, while Luffy was going out still trying to find his crew.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first people that he actually meets up with, Nami.
Nami the Mommy.
Yep, Nami,
Okay.
which is actually
I
wave
like the
in,
gif of her.
in Japanese.
I just want to point out, I looked up what Sea Kings look like, because I was thinking they were like terrifying, like giant Gyarados, like Pokemon. They're scary in the way that the Titans are
I
scary
had a feeling.
until you see them run. They're just goofy as fuck. They look fucking stupid. I'm looking at them on the wiki right now.
Yeah, some have think of it like a poodle, but with a bill that's like a snake.
Okay.
Yes.
Or think of it like an orca that's a cow, because it has that pattern. So yeah, Nami,
That's weird.
Yeah,
Yeah, Nami.
the cat burglar Nami.
We're working on it.
Yeah, honestly, because her story just depicts of throughout her whole life, all she's been doing is stealing money from pirates, solely because she wanted to free her own town from the oppressors that were the fishmen. One day, fishermen came to her island. They, were ransacking it, killing people. And while she and her sister were being, protected by her mother, well, adoptive mother, because no, they weren't related. They were just found after a big battle, and the mom, who was an actual Navy officer, picked them up and adopted them and raised them. Yeah, because in the anime, the oppressing fishmen basically told everyone in that town has to pay a toll for their lives. It would be, I think, well, I can't remember the whole details, but I think it was like 50,000 berries, because berries is the kind of currency. For the world of One Piece. 50,000 berries for children and 100,000 for adults.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But Nami's adoptive mother only had 100,000. So what she does is she gives it to them, but then she makes the biggest sacrifice by saying, "Those are for my girls.
Shit, bro.
And if you don't pay,
You
die."
get killed. Shit, bro.
They were kind of lenient in the anime where, because the oppressing fishman, his name was Arlong. Arlong, yes. Shot her, at point blank in the chest, but in the manga, he shoots her in the head.
Ooh, in front of the kids?
In front, yeah.
Wild.
Very traumatic.
Wild.
Very traumatic.
Just bad.
Feels bad too. So yeah, throughout her whole life, she made a contract with Arlong after the fact, so that in order to save her town, she made a deal with, if she can come up with 100 million berries
She
to
could
offer,
buy the town.
she could buy the town from him. So all throughout her life, as a kid, into her teens, and until now, that's all she's been doing. She's been stealing money, robbing pirates, and trying to collect enough money to free her town. Because that was her whole spiel. She didn't trust anyone, only to find the money and get it. And that's why some of those tendencies of her being a cat burglar paid off, because she was cool. Not only was she good at thieving, but one of her greatest traits of why not only did she make a contract with Arlong to, buy off the town, but because her purpose to Arlong, she can create maps. But for Arlong, for a fishman, is probably the best tool when it comes to like scoping out an island before an attack. If she can create maps, accurate maps of, like the landscape of how islands are, the shape of the shorelines, the mountaintops, the cliff sides. If she can make accurate representations of how islands look, those maps can be essential for taking control of those islands.
So there's the red line, which is the main strip of land that circles the whole planet.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's also little islands spread throughout the entire ocean.
Yes.
Sick.
Yeah, because
Okay,
there's
cool.
only one continent. The entire world consists
Which
of nothing
is the
but
red
island.
line.
Yes.
And then besides that, it's just hella islands
Hella
everywhere.
islands.
Some of them habited, some of them not.
Or even some have a mind of their own.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Think of it like a giant plant organism, but it's an island.
Fuck. Okay. Like a Life of Pi.
Yeah, basically.
Hmm.
Only these things, those islands are like the shape of flowers, but at the center of the island is a giant beak.
Weird.
Because the island provides all the necessary nutrients like fruits, vegetable, or not, well, food
Mm-hmm.
to attract and nurture all the inhabitants of those islands. But once the island or not, the inhabitants become very plump and very heavy,
Wow.
the island itself starts to rise and engulfs all the inhabitants.
That's insane.
Yep.
That's insane.
Yep.
Okay, so islands that eat people.
Islands that eat people, islands that actually can reach the sky.
Sick. Okay.
Because there are a lot of different
Super tall islands.
Yeah. Even islands that float. Because those are the sky islands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So Nami's the navigator.
Nami's the navigator. She's the one, and well, not to mention almost a weather witch because of how she understands the navigation, like air pressure and air current.
Mm-hmm.
She can understand or read the way air pressure changes throughout, the journey, and how, okay, what would be the better way to sail? What would be the better direction to find an island, etc.
Can't Luffy smell that?
I mean, his nose is more prone to food than it is to air pressure.
Hmm.
But Nami can sense that air pressure. She knows when air pressure changes and when it generates like storms or, different tides, things like that.
Okay. Who's next in the crew?
Usopp!
The sharpshooter.
Honestly, probably one of the best guys you ever know in One Piece because, dude, he's the only, like Nami, he's the only human that actually has skill with sniping. Because where everyone has, their abilities, like they can break things, they can, cut things, they can do anything because they already have that innate power. He has skill. Where everyone else has power, he has skill.
Okay.
Because his key, thing about his spot in the crew is that he's the sniper.
Got it.
Yeah. But not to mention, he's also one hell of a handyman too. Because he actually makes his own weapons, but also some of the weapons of the crew too.
Interesting.
Oh God, those eyes.
Yep. Also, he has one of the best glow-ups too, because when he first starts, he is considered the liar of his own in his town.
Yes.
Because he always makes up the lie like, pirates are coming, kind of like the boy who cried wolf. But for him, he makes it until he makes it. Or he fakes it till he makes it. Because throughout his entire, journey as one of the crew of the Straw Hats, he's only ever made up stories of like great, journeys or how he found this and that. And it's always been a lie. But funny enough, the way his story evolves, his lies turn into truths. Because his ambition is to be a great warrior of the sea. And how do you become a great warrior of the sea?
Spend time on the sea.
Well,
Raging
not just
war.
that. You befriend warriors of the sea. And funny enough, because one of his best moments in like the beginning when he was first starting art was that he was able to befriend giants.
Giants?
Giants. Literal giants.
How? Who? What? Where? And why? When?
When after they went through once the crew got into the Grand Line, one of the first islands that they actually came across was this giant island that inhabited two giants that were fighting each other nonstop every single day. But the thing about giants is that they have very long lifespans that to them, like for others, it's only been like, like for them, it feels like for them, it's only been a couple of months. Everywhere else, it's been tens of years.
Okay.
To the point where like they've just been fighting nonstop every single day. Like they had their own rules about it and everything. But when someone actually stopped them and say, "Hey, what's going on? Why are you guys fighting?" They didn't even remember why.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Funny enough, though, the giants...
Most married couples.
Yeah, those giants in particular were actually captains or leaders of...
Other giants.
Other giants. So the fact that Usopp was able to befriend them and got their respect is like, damn.
Seems like a very inclusive show.
Very.
Did he ask the pronouns of the giants?
No.
Okay.
Is there any giant tussie?
Yes, there are giant females, if that's what you're asking. Anyway, moving on. We have Zoro, the swordsman of the Straw Hat crew.
Sick, Mr. Sword in his mouth.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because that's his style, the three-sword style, where he has two swords on two hands and then one in the mouth, because if he doesn't have two hands to catch you with those swords, he's definitely going to catch you with his head.
Why does he put the sword of his friend in his mouth? And why isn't that his main sword?
Well, actually, no, that is his main sword. The other two are typically used for more of the higher attacks because the thing about his friend's sword is not only because it's symbolic because it was his friend's, but but because it's one of the grand swords. It's one of the actually most sought after swords in the world, made by one of the best blacksmiths in all of One Piece.
One Piece.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to mention he has one of the worst abilities that anyone can have, which is very, very poor sense of direction.
Well, I mean, that's fine. He's not a navigator. It's not his job.
No, but he all he does is cut things and run away, but always gets lost.
Oh, well, it feels bad. You can't get lost. Can't get lost.
Moving on. We got, oh my God, the biggest Chad and man who can cook, Sanji.
Sanji.
Yeah, honestly, his backstory is quite tragic because, well, I'm sure you saw it from the live action version. But god damn
How accurate was the live action?
Actually, it was very accurate.
Pretty accurate?
Very accurate because not only was he marooned on a island that had no inhabitants and it was just a desert island with a man that not just, attacked his ship, but also saved him.
And ate his own foot.
Well, yeah, that's...
It's wild.
That was Zeph.
Yeah.
Yeah, because honestly...
He gave him all the food.
He gave him all of the
his
food.
His bag was all the riches.
And his bag was with all the riches.
That's fucking nuts.
For days, for weeks on end.
Nuts, bro.
He subjected himself to eating his own foot to survive.
But he wanted to keep them gold, bro. He wanted to keep that gold.
Hey, he gave the kid all the food he ever needed.
He did.
And the kid still wanted more food, not realizing what he was sacrificing. Because he understood his dream. Because Sanji's dream is to find the all blue, which is the culmination of the entire, all the world seas coming into one spot, which means all of its marine, life coming into one. And for any, great cook, that is the one place where you will find anything and everything you need.
Is it real?
Just as real as the One Piece.
Shit, bro. So it's a story.
It is the story.
It's a myth.
It's a myth until proven fact.
True.
Yeah. But honestly, one of the things that is pretty badass about Sanji because we first, find him, he's, at the Barati, which is a restaurant that's also a ship on the sea that honestly it sounds like a fucking badass, establishment. Yeah.
It does. The way it was depicted in the live action was very, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
That's owned by Zeph.
That is owned by Zeph. Yeah. I mean,
Sanji can fight very well.
Yes, because of the way he, at least for his own code of honor, he never fights with his hands because his hands are for cooking.
Interesting.
That's why his method of fighting is always with his feet.
Kicks. Oh, I see. It makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the only time he actually fought with his hands was when he was actually fighting someone that was also a cook. That was cooking. So he was cooking with his hands.
That's funny.
And kicking ass while he was at it.
That's funny.
Moving on. We got the also adorable Chopper, or Tony Chopper.
What the fuck?
Who is the doctor of the crew.
Doctor.
The doctor. Funny little backstory about Chopper is that he is, in all origin, a reindeer.
Okay, makes sense.
But one thing about him specifically was that he was an outcast even among his reindeer, tribe.
It's fucking Rudolph.
The blue-nosed reindeer.
Okay.
This was like Oda's take on it because there was, Rudolph the red-nosed. This is Chopper the blue-nosed reindeer.
He a Crip. This is like Crips and Bloods. Shit.
Yeah. So funny enough, with Chopper, he, of course, was an outcast in his own tribe, but then came across a devil fruit that was a human fruit.
What the fuck? Okay.
So while he was a reindeer, just a regular animal who ate
human fruit,
a fruit that gave him the ability to transform himself into human, or at least partially human.
Okay, so now he's just a talking reindeer.
Yes. who was
Cool.
actually seen as a monster, like some kind of Sasquatch by the town
Makes
that
sense.
he was, living next to. But it wasn't until he came across the one crazy doctor that the entire town feared, because one of the things about the world or the island in which, Chopper was from, it was was it like permafrost or perma snow? Like it was an everlasting snow island. It never, it was never summer. It was never spring. Always winter.
Always winter.
Always winter. And because when it's winter, people get cold, people get sick, and the crazy doctor that Chopper, who became Chopper's adoptive father, always went out trying to cure people, even though his methods were unorthodox, and often people feared his treatments because of how unorthodox and potentially deadly they were. It's like people fear getting sick, but they fear getting cured more. But mostly because he was probably the only doctor in the entire island that actually gave a damn about its subjects. The kingdom in which inhabited it had the best doctors in the island, but it was only secluded to the king and the king alone. Never even giving its people a chance when it comes to its own health and security.
Imagine the remedy being worse than the sickness. Sounds fucked up.
Yeah. Well, at least that was the case with Tony or with Chopper's dad, because everyone feared him because of his unorthodox methods. But one of the absolute best things about him specifically was that he gave Chopper a home where no one else will. He was an outcast among reindeers, but like a monster to humans.
Mm-hmm. Double outcast.
Double outcast. So what does the man do? He teaches them everything he knows. So, and granted, this is when Tony is like Chopper's a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But growing up, his adopted father taught him medicine.
How did he meet Luffy?
When Luffy came upon him on the island itself, because it was
Which island?
That bottom middle
think
gif is when she takes her shirt off.
Facts.
if I remember correctly, it was called Drum Island.
Also, did you need help with that?
I was going to flip it, but just give it a little stir. But then I was like, it's probably fine.
So yeah, the whole little just a little summarized story of that whole background of how Luffy met Chopper.
No, that's fine.
The island in which they went to that were fighting the giants, it was more like a prehistoric island because there were a lot of prehistoric insects. One of them just happened to bit Nami, and when they got to the Drum Island, Nami was sick, so they needed to find a doctor. Of course, because there was no doctor in town because all the doctors were at the very top of the island's kingdom that no one had access to. So what did Luffy do? He hauled Nami's sick body up the island barehanded. So he literally just, in the freezing cold, climbed, or what do you call it? Like base climbing? Well, ascended up the very, very steep, mountaintop while it was freezing, his, developing frostbite on his limbs and holding her and climbing and climbing.
Free climbing with Nami on his back.
And Sanji in his teeth.
What?
Yeah, because while it was originally Luffy and Sanji that were trying to get Nami up the mountain to find a doctor to help him, or to help her,
got bit too.
They were ambushed by snow bunnies, or they were basically...
I wish I was ambushed by snow bunnies.
Dude, these things were the size of bears. Snow bunnies, but they were the size of bears. And they were very territorial creatures. So much so that... Wait, have you... No, honestly, I can't give you that reference because I'm pretty sure you don't know it. Yeah. So these were big-ass white, albino bear rabbits.
Sick. Okay.
Because they had, the overall, look of a giant bear, but they had the face of rabbits. But their faces were damn, dude.
That doesn't sound cool at all.
Yeah, no, it was cold. So because they got ambushed by, those, bunny bears,
Yeah. Okay.
Sanji got knocked out cold, so
Sick.
in order to not just save him but also Nami, Luffy, because this was like after an avalanche happened and they were both out cold, but then Luffy got up, saved Nami, saved Sanji, but then still had to climb the damn mountain just to get them both to to find a doctor. He was able to get to the top, and even as he was basically dying of frost, like this was probably like, well, he was like barely clinging to consciousness, and because he did find a doctor
Mm-hmm.
who was the surrogate mother to, or basically like the stepmother to Chopper. Because even after Chopper's dad, died, she started looking after Chopper in his stead.
Cute.
Yeah. And that was Dr. Kriha.
What does Kriha mean?
I can't remember.
Hmm.
All I know is that she was 107 years old. But damn, she still looked young.
Anime do that.
Anime do that.
Anime do that. Anime do that.
Yeah, so when he was still clinging to life, because it was Kriha that actually found him out after he hauled 2 bodies up the cape, he literally said, "Please save them." And he was already on death's door. He's like, "Oh yeah, please save my friends." I'm like, damn. And it wasn't until Luffy got up, or once he got, woken up, that's where he found Chopper. Only he didn't see Chopper as somebody. He saw it as a meal. Because it was literally as they were like, he's like, "Oh my god, reindeer, I'm hungry. Reindeer meat sounds
so
good."
funny, dude.
And he started chasing Chopper down the hall. And then once
That's
he was
so
chasing that,
funny.
because then Sanji joined in and was like, "Sanji, you know how to cook reindeer meat, right? Oh yeah, I'll make a nice reindeer stir fry."
That's so funny, dude. That's funny.
That is how Luffy met Chopper.
Cool. Very cool.
Moving on. Ooh, we got one of the most epic of the Straw Hats, because she's probably the smartest one in all of the crew. Nico Robin.
Nico Robin.
Nico
Mike Boop.
Robin. Oh man, if there's one thing that is truly amazing about her, is the fact that she was able to find Luffy and actually find friends and make a family. Because all throughout her life, she was known as the Demon Child.
Demon Child.
Demon Child.
Why?
Why? Because she was the last sole survivor of an island that was eradicated from the face of the earth,
How did she survive?
with the help of one man who was an admiral.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Fucking Luffy's grandpa?
No.
Oh.
Garp was a vice admiral.
Oh.
It was Aokiji.
Hmm.
He's well, his ability is ice.
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 Okay.
An admiral of the Navy, because it was actually it's called a buster call. Basically, an admiral has the ability, because it's a golden Denden Mushi, that when it is activated, prompts an order of 50 battleships to assimilate to wherever that signal is being broadcast and eradicate whatever is there. It's essentially how most people would call in like a tactical nuke, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Holy shit.
yeah,
That's kind of fucked.
it is fucked, because the island in which she was from was named O'Hara, which held a good, like, vast amount of knowledge of the world. And because of their teachings, she was actually smart enough to understand and learn the very taboo of the world, which was to learn the inscriptions on poneglyphs.
Inscriptions on poneglyphs.
She was basically committing taboo when she was learning it, because it is the number one, well, one of the rules that the world government has issued was that learning about the poneglyphs is learning about the history of the Void Century, which she did learn and knew how to do and read and write. But once the government found out about it, they had to eradicate everyone on the island to keep their secret. But Aokiji was one of the admirals that took pity and, let her live by creating essentially a bridge, not a bridge, more like a path for her to basically escape.
Why did he let her escape?
Because honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I personally can't
Like,
remember.
damn, that's a really fucking good question. Why did he? There's holes in this story.
Yeah. Oh, it's only because it's been a while since I last saw it. And but my honest opinion was that he was keeping a promise to one of his vice admirals because it was a giant that was actually marooned on that island because he was trying to save Robin's mother because she was already deemed a outlaw or basically wanted by the world government because she understood the taboo and learned about it. Because she was out going around the world finding the poneglyphs and deciphering them and bringing them back to the island to basically share that knowledge that she had discovered.
Her mom was.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why the island goes bye-bye.
Island goes bye-bye, and Robin was the sole survivor.
Because
She was basically given a bounty of 79 million berries as reward because she was the only person that knew the secret of how to read and write the inscriptions on poneglyphs.
But why'd the admiral give her a way to survive if they didn't want
Because
the information to get out?
from what I remember, like I said, it's been a while since because that's a lot of information.
Brain blast this shit, Ruben. I need to know. I need the answers.
My understanding was that was it Caesar? No.
Caesar Chavez.
No, it was a vice admiral that washed up on that island to try and warn the islanders and Robin's mother about the impending call that was, the admiral. But the thing about it was that because he was trying to not just save her, but he didn't even realize she had a kid. So to basically honor the sacrifice that, was Robin's mother, he sacrificed himself to save Robin. And he begged, Aokiji to save her as well. He sacrificed by putting himself in between him and her. He made him like, hey, I know what you need to do, and I understand, but do this for me. Let her live. So he
Doesn't
did.
seem like he's doing his job very well.
Well, he just gave her a path to escape, but that was it. By the next meeting, he freaking froze her. Yeah. He's like, come here. And he literally put his arm around her, and she literally just flash frost.
Sick.
And then Luffy's like, oh, hell no. So he tries to punch him, and then he catches the punch and then freezes him. And he's like, oh, shit, because he's rubber. He's ice.
Mm-hmm.
He gets frozen.
No bueno.
No bueno.
Wild. Okay, so now he gets his decipherer of the...
No,
something
he
that starts with
basically, it was more of a threat.
Tablets.
I like how the wiki doesn't actually explain much of her story, but I have all of her body measurements.
It's a good thing that you can also 3D print.
Yeah. Anyway, as far as everyone is aware, Nico Robin, very sad backstory, but the fact that she goes through so much hell just to find people that actually, admire her, respect her, cherish her, and protect her, because the whole backstory to Eni's lobby, after the Water 7, which is the place where it was essentially where they came up, and Robin gets kidnapped by the government's high, what is it? What is it? Not staff. It was basically the security guards that form the world government, which is Cypherpol. Basically, like the agency, like secret agents, but they're So because Robin, she just wanted to protect them. That's all she ever wanted. Once she realized who they were to her.
I see.
So to protect them, she allowed herself to be captured by Cypherpol, and then the whole arc consists of Luffy and the gang
Getting her back.
Where she said, "No, we had a deal. I was gonna give myself up so you would not, harm them. And what does
Well,
and what do they say? They're like, yeah, but they came here, so we're gonna kill them anyway.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
It's fair.
And then in that, in the most, one of the actual staples of One Piece was that when Luffy and the gang finally get to see her literally across a giant gap of, abyss, he literally screams at her, "Tell me you want to live." And for the first time in her life, she actually got the chance to say, "I want to live."
Apparently, she has in fact eaten a devil fruit as well.
Yeah.
Dun dun
Her
dun.
ability is
The
the
Hana Hana no Mi.
or flower fruit.
Yeah, she can sprout duplicates of any of her body parts from any surface within range. She can sprout duplicates from her own body, inanimate surface, and even other people's body. She can
What?
duplicate body parts on top of other duplicate body parts, and she maintains full control of those duplicate limbs and can even perceive sights and sounds remotely through duplicate eyes and ears.
Though one of her signatures is actually
the
shown
fuck?
right here, where she can actually grow appendages that are hers on other people, and then basically bend
She's
them in a
choking
shape
them
where
out.
she crunches their backs or bones.
Fucked up.
Yeah,
Okay. That's wild.
yeah, that's Robin for you.
Cool.
Yeah. Moving on.
She could do all sorts of stuff to you at once.
Hey, if you ever need a hand, she can give you plenty.
Don't get me started. I need a foot. I need a foot. Moving on.
We
Blue
have
hair.
Frankie, the shipwright of the crew, and
The shipwright.
the shipwright,
What is that?
the man who makes the ship and
Oh.
maintains it.
Okay.
Because when it came to the chapter of, Water 7 and Ennie's Lobby, Frankie came into the picture because the ship that they had previously that got him through, half or like the good, some of the Grand Line.
The one with the sheep head.
Yes. Mary,
Mary.
the Going Mary,
Yes.
was basically on its last leg because the base of the stern was cracked to the point where any amount of damage can basically rip the ship in half. And
I see.
in order to make that, tough call, Luffy says, we need a new ship. But then there was this big argument with Usopp because it was actually a gift from one of his friends, I
Yeah.
think Kaya,
Yes.
and he wanted to maintain the ship as long as he could because it's been giving, them hope, and they've managed to escape a lot of very, very dangerous spots and tight pinches because of Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Though the funny thing about Frankie was that he was actually a student of the shipwright for Roger.
Oh.
So basically,
Goal.
the
Beat Roger.
father figure for Frankie was part of Roger's crew.
Interesting. Same as Luffy.
So nice little connections there.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Because there was even yeah, okay, never mind. I just remembered
Shit,
something.
The wheels are turning in his head.
Yeah. So Frankie himself, he is a cyborg. Well, the reason why he's a cyborg because
See, that's what I was gonna ask. I was like, I see a giant robot in the bottom corner.
oh yeah, no, that's because that's time skip Frankie. That's when he basically found an island full of technology and basically upgraded himself.
I see.
Pre time skip, he was actually just a normal cyborg, but the reason why he was a cyborg was because as a child or as a teenager somewhere around there,
Mhm.
he couldn't save his master because Tom, that was his name, was a fishman.
Okay.
The fishman, very like there's a lot of segregation between fishmen and humans.
Mm-hmm.
But for Tom, because what he wanted to do, because he was already basically being tried as a criminal for basically being a part of Roger's crew. But as a, it wasn't a get out of jail free card or anything, but he asked that he was given time so that he can make something that would actually benefit the inhabitants of the island that he was at. And that was the sea trains.
Sea trains.
Sea trains. Trains that were that were able to actually run on the surface of the ocean.
Sick.
And once those were made, he was, because basically, can someone who was a part of Roger's crew be exonerated for building something that can benefit so many people? Can the good outweigh the bad in this case?
Well, that's the question of Oppenheimer.
Frankly, that wasn't the case with Tom because he was betrayed by the government, thinking because they made him out to be like this crazed lunatic who would, go to no lengths to try and hurt people. But that wasn't the case because, essentially what happened was that Frankie was a fanatic for making, weapons and battleships and things like that. But because of that, Frankie didn't have full, protection over his ships. The government basically hired some of their staff to basically take those little battleships and then start attacking everyone, making Tom liable for having one of his, students wreak havoc on the planet and basically like saying he's to blame. He's the one that taught him how to do all this. We're taking him in. And then in order to basically, because the sad truth was that Tom basically got tried and sentenced and was, sent away on the very trains that he created. And Frankie wanted to stop that train. So what did he do? He stands in front of it and then gets railed, broken, busted, and maimed. So much so that by the time he actually, collected himself, he started putting himself back together bit by bit, part by part, and whatever that wasn't, salvageable, he replaced with metal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's how he became a cyborg.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It was a sacrifice of his own doing.
Yeah.
Intriguing.
He wanted to save his, his teacher, got hit by the train, and then decided to just, I'm going to put myself back together and do something with my life.
Okay, so the Straw Hat crew rolls up to wherever he is with their busted ass ship, and then what?
Well, not only the busted ass ship, but a lot of money.
Okay.
Because of the previous island that they came from.
They just robbed somebody.
Oh, no, it's because they actually saved an island, and that island just happened to be in the sky. And because that sky was very plentiful of gold, they decided to basically take all that gold in the ship, took the ship to Water 7. Water 7 cashed it out, and then they had a shit ton of money. But then Frankie took all that money. And what does he do? He buys wood. But not just any wood. The wood of God.
It's fucking seawood, isn't it?
No.
Oh.
I think like, wait, Daniel, how big was a eucalyptus? No, not, or what was the biggest tree in the world?
Eucalyptus? Eucalyptus dick? Come on. You can't pass that one up. It's low-hanging fruit.
Basically, it was wood of the tree that basically can withstand any amount of damage.
Okay.
So essentially, the best wood on the planet. Yeah. He used all that money to buy that wood. And with that wood, he made the ship that the Straw Hats would eventually make their own.
So he made a new ship. He didn't
made a
fix
new
their
ship, and that ship was for the Straw Hats.
Did they name it the Going Again Mary?
No.
Oh.
The thousand. No, because the whole naming process was because it was Frankie's like surrogate brother, because it was the second student of Tom.
Okay.
He, like, even before it was completely finished, he said this ship would basically be the ship that you see breaking the dawn 1,000 times.
Okay.
And that's why it's called the Thousands Sunny.
Thousands Sunny. Cool.
The ship that will break the dawn 1,000 times.
Dope. So then he joins the crew.
Yeah. Not by choice, but it was eventually made his choice.
Why?
Well, it was because at the very end of the whole journey through the island after they came back from Enies Lobby, Frankie made the ship, completed it, gave it to the Straw Hats, but he didn't. He was very like selfish in the way that like I already made the ship; they don't need me. But Luffy did. So they made this whole convoluted thing where they took his Speedo and he was basically running commando throughout the entirety of the town while everyone was playing keep away with the Speedo. And then right up until the moment where Luffy had his Speedo up and I was like, hey, I got it. You better come on board unless you want to go commando the rest of your life. Robin uses her abilities to basically crunch his nuts.
Aw. That's fucked up.
Until he came to his senses and says, you know what? I think I'll join your crew.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up.
Oh.
That is in no way a choice. That is a forced decision. Me next.
All right. Next up, we have Brook.
This dude. This is who I was curious about.
Yes, Brook is a living skeleton. Why?
Mhm.
Because of his ability that he took when he was alive.
Gum gum.
No, it was
No,
the
not a
Yomi
devil
Yomi.
fruit. Yummy yummy. Was it yummy yummy?
No. No devil fruit in the world is Yummy Yummy.
Is it?
Swag.
Is it the hair? Oh, but I feel like he's black. He was black in his past life.
How do you know it's not Jewish?
That's not Jewish.
Well, in for Brook's past, the only reason why he's a giant skeleton was because his body was dead for 50 years.
Pirate likes money. Might be Jew.
And he was actually a musician.
Mm.
His whole
Might be black.
We need Girk's opinion.
True. We need Girk and Jeff. They would be able to help. They would be able to help because he threw musician back in the mix too.
I mean, he's a multi-musician because he can play the violin, he can strum the guitar, he can sing, he can play a violin with a sword, and that sword just happens to be his trademark.
Wait, but he doesn't make magic.
His magic
might be
is-
Asian, actually.
The only magic that he has is that he's able to run, or because of his structure, he's nothing but bone, so no amount of muscle or limbs that he can actually use. He's
Uh-huh.
light enough to actually run on water
Oh,
and actually heal himself with just milk.
the calcium.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah.
funny. He doesn't drink it, I assume, because he doesn't go into it. So he just soaks in milk.
No, he drinks it.
Okay.
It's weird as hell. Because
Does it just float in his stomach
No, he consumes it.
and then it goes straight to his bones?
It just goes straight to his bones.
Hmm.
Like whatever he has no lips to pucker. He only has teeth to
Open.
to open, and he can consume. But in my opinion, his mouth is it's basically a void.
Yeah.
So whatever he consumes, it consumes, but it goes into his bones.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Where did he come from?
He
Who is good Sir Skeletor?
So Brook was actually part of a crew, pirate crew, that was just a bunch of musicians that went around giving joyous, songs and dance.
Did
to
they
a
make
lot-
magic?
Hmm?
Did they make magic? You said they were musicians.
Not musicians, not magicians.
Oh, okay.
But their songs were magic too, because they were able to actually attract a baby whale.
You gotta turn your mic towards you.
Sorry about
There
that.
you go. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, with their music in tow, they were able to attract the attention of a baby whale, and then that baby whale just followed them instead of being a part of the whale or the pod. And not knowing that,
we're at part of the pod right now. Any koozies.
yeah, that whale just happens to be the gatekeeper of the entrance of the Grand Line. His name is Laboon.
Who is Laboon?
Laboon is the gatekeeper to the entrance of the Grand Line.
That's wait, what? There's no. How is there an entrance to the Grand Line? Because it's just
The
the
mountaintop-
calm, right?
No,
Okay,
there's the Grand Line, the calm belt, and then the
The red
currents that get you up to the mountain and then
Yes.
into the Grand Line.
That's the only way. Okay,
That
so that's where
that's the main entrance to the Grand Line.
Algoon?
Lagoon.
Lagoon. Damn,
Lagoon.
my first guess was Lagoon, and I was like, it's not fucking Lagoon. I know what Lagoon is. I was like, damn it.
Yeah, well, Lagoon is
Lagoon. Okay.
honestly on par with the size of a Sea King.
Okay.
So yeah, but dude, like ever since Brooke and his crew left him at that entrance because they didn't want him because he was just an infant whale chasing a group of pirates to save them and help them and all that. But no,
It's fucked up. They left their pet behind.
they left their friend behind, and for 50 years. Laboon grew with the understanding that his friends abandoned him. So what did he do? For those 50 years, as he grew, he was smashing himself against the red line to try and break through.
Damn, son.
Yeah, that's why he has scars all over his body. But it wasn't until Luffy found Brook at the ship of Thriller Bark. Which, honestly, it's basically like a ship that's the size of an island.
Thriller Bark.
Thriller Bark. Yes.
Bark.
No, bro, it's Thriller.
Yes. It is still going. It's still pretty good, yeah.
So, yeah, little fun facts about Brook. He is the musician of the Straw Hat Pirates. Best song he's ever sung because it's probably the staple of all pirates is called Brinks Sake.
Brinks Sake.
Yeah.
Not Brings Sake because that'd be pretty lit. A song that said Brings Sake would be pretty lit.
I'm pretty sure if you listen to it right now, you would just think, oh, I need some sake right now.
I guess we gonna find out.
Yeah. So, yeah. Behind Brook's power is because the Yomi Yomi Nomi, because
say that 5 times fast. Yummy, 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 yummy.
was
I don't know what it is that you started.
well, you were basically shouting Yomi 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 Yomi,
Yummy, pretty much.
and he wanted to give you something to Yomi about.
I believe this is
Bring
the
Sake.
song.
Yeah. Well, this is the English version of it.
I would hope so. I appreciate you picking the English
Yeah.
version. You've shown me this.
Yes, I have.
These types of songs just make you want to drink.
Well, that's part of the reason because it's usually played for celebration and for.
All my bottles. Anyways, you were saying
So for Brook's power is because the Yomi Yomi Nomi allowed it allowed his soul to return to his body after 50 years.
Oh, so he dies.
He dies.
Then his soul comes back, and I assume, digs himself up.
No, he was actually because the ship that he was a part of, his entire crew
Sank.
It didn't sink. The entirety, because of the last battle they had against another group of pirates, had basically used chemical warfare and poisoned the entirety of the crew. So all of their bodies would gradually fall to the poison.
I see.
And they actually sung that song, and they recorded it using it's called a, what was it? A tone dial.
Oh.
Which is basically a conch that can record audio.
A magic conch?
Yes, a magic conch.
Asking a question.
Yeah, so that was the actual song that they sung as they were all dying.
And singing.
Yeah.
That's the song they
He
sung
actually
while
keeps
they were
that in his
singing
head.
and dying.
Yeah.
He keeps the song in his head.
No, he keeps the conch in his head because he can actually
Oh.
he can actually crack open his skull and use it as a storage.
That's pretty lit.
Yes.
There's a video of the magic conch denying Squidward food playing in the background.
Yeah, so with his ability to basically get his soul resurrected to the body that he inhabited, because the body was already dead, so it was nothing but bones, he was still able to possess his body, even
Through
though
the
it was
bones.
bones. It was bones. And the whole reason why he still has a lot of hair, his only answer, I have thick roots.
Oh, okay. Sick.
Yeah.
So to his skull roots. I dig it.
Yeah, but in the time skip, because he was actually found by a thief, but then that thief found his innate talent and basically hoed his ass to become an idol, and now he's known throughout the world as Soul King.
Because he's a musician.
Yeah,
I see. Okay.
because he's the king of soul.
And he doesn't have one. No, okay. Well, moving forward.
He has a soul.
Bong.
His soul is. He may be dead, but he's not soulless. And to continue on with the Straw Hat Crew, we have the.
What is that?
This is
It's Blue Shrek.
no, bro. It's
Gorlak,
Jimbei.
Destroyer of Worlds.
No, this is Jimbei. He is Knight
Jimbei.
of the Sea. Jimbei.
Okay.
He is what you would call
There's
a
a lot
fisherman.
of fucking characters.
Well, this
He's
is
a fisherman. Oh,
he
that makes
is a
sense. He's
fisherman.
got gills. I see
yeah.
it.
He's got
I
gills on
see
the
it.
side. He's got
I
you know
fucking see it. Okay.
yeah. But one of the interesting things about him is that he didn't come into the Straw Hats crew until way later in the series, only because he was actually a captain of the Sun Pirates, which is an entire crew of fishermen.
Okay.
And one of those fishermen actually defected and became
Oh, fish.
well no.
Oh.
He took over the island that Nami was a part of. His name was Arlong.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yep.
Huh.
They were essentially brothers.
Okay.
So
He goes off.
Jinbei basically became a warlord of the sea, which I'll get to in a bit.
Okay.
Warlords were basically pirates that were able to have free reign over whatever they did,
But
so long as
also
they
had to work for the government.
anytime the government basically say, hey, bro, I need you to kill this man or to find this man, to hunt this man down, they would say when and where.
Mm-hmm. So that they could keep going without rule.
So that not just because they can go up without rule, but for in Jinbei's case, so that he can protect the island, so he can protect the island in which he inhabits, or in this case, that he's from. Because
So
if
he's doing it for righteous reasons.
he's doing it to protect his home.
But Arlong was selfish and wanted money and control.
Arlong was basically under the notion of that bigotry that, because when it came to fishermen were oppressed by, not just, humans, but the highest form of human, which was the celestial dragons. Celestial dragons are essentially the highest form of nobility in the world government. And also because they own slaves.
You said a celestial dragon,
Yes,
and it owns slaves.
they own slaves.
What is it? Is it legitimately a dragon?
No, they're people They are people
Okay,
of the highest nobility
that's
that are
their
called.
title.
That is their title, celestial dragons.
Interesting. What do they do? What is a celestial dragon?
A celestial dragon is basically someone who has think of it like this. They are part of a bloodline that goes back centuries that ties them to the origins of the world government.
Got it. Okay.
So if the world government first started,
Like the politics of world government.
yeah, think of it like if you had a series of kingdoms that
Mhm.
wanted to have their descendants rule the world, that's the celestial dragons.
I see.
Where the kingdoms
It's like
of
royalty.
yeah,
They're the
essentially like
royalty.
the rule of royalty was that to prevent their descendants from, non-existing, they put them somewhere where they would always be on top.
Hmm.
Which is why they have the highest where they are in the world is at the very top of the red line.
Got it. Farthest north, I assume. If you're saying very top.
Well, no, I'm talking about not north. I'm talking about on the red line. They are directly at the very peaks of those red mountains.
At
Not
every peak, there is a group, or there is one.
where the Grand Line meets the red line.
Ah,
That's where they are.
okay.
That's where they are, and where
They,
that's the heart of the
those
world
people.
government. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
So Jinbei,
Jinbei.
we got first introduced him. We got
Garlic
first introduced to him
Destroyer.
when he was actually fighting Luffy's brother Ace, and it was a pretty long and enduring battle because they were at it for days. Like they fought for days, and it
No
was
sleep.
no sleep.
That sucks.
Yeah, but it wasn't until after their battle that Whitebeard came along and said, "Enough."
They call him Whitebeard because his beard was white.
No, because he had a stash that was white, but Whitebeard was Whitebeard was one of the emperors of the sea, which is essentially one of the powerhouses of the world.
Okay.
And by seeing, Ace and Jinbei going at it,
Jinbei.
they actually became friends.
Got it. So it became like an enemies to friends thing.
Yeah.
So then he decides to get on the ship with Luffy.
No, he the only reason why, because this was during the Paramount War. Jinbei was imprisoned.
Like Paramount Pictures?
No, like Paramount War.
Oh, okay.
Like if Paramount Pictures had a war, that's the war.
So as in Paramount Pictures, the war.
Yeah, you could make a movie out of that.
I bet you could. I'm pretty sure there's some like underlying shit that's gone down inside Paramount Pictures Productions. You
It wasn't
don't
just
know.
pictures and
It
and
wasn't
production.
just pictures and production.
they've been through wars.
True.
One of the family names of the nobles
Mm-hmm.
is Don Quixote.
That's suspicious.
Yeah, that's part of the Don Quixote family.
I don't know what rabbit hole you're over there in.
Bro, I'm so lost.
That was
I'm
like
just-
out of left field. The only correlation was one of the noble families. Like, we were talking about royalty. I know Jimbo.
I
Jinbei.
apologize for
Jinbei.
my outburst.
It's okay. I appreciated it.
I mean, you can call him Jimbo.
Jimbo. Jinbei.
Jinbei.
Okay, so he's
Knight of the Sea, Fisherman of Fishman Island, and also because one of his abilities
Mhm.
is that he knows what's called Fishman Karate.
how does it differ from human karate?
He has the ability to basically bend, flip, and essentially control water.
See, he's the avatar.
No, he's a waterbender.
Basically the avatar.
Yeah, he has to bend water in order to manipulate it into any shape, way, or form. Like
That's
he can,
pretty dope.
like in air,
So
like
what you're saying is the avatar knocked off fucking One Piece. Because this came first. Shit. I'm starting some conspiracies.
no, it's because one of the abilities of Fishman Karate is that they can actually manipulate the pressure in water, but also in the air too. Because if there's moisture in the air, they can essentially vibrate the air so much that it generates a shockwave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very unique.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. How the fuck? Okay. How does he join Luffy's crew?
Jinbei joined Luffy's crew when, because before Jinbei actually joined the crew, he actually swore his allegiance to Emperor of the Sea, so that it basically, because if you swear your allegiance to an emperor, you have that emperor's essentially if I be a part of you, you protect my home, kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And the emperor in which he was allied with was Big Mom, or the Big Mom pirates.
Okay.
And it wasn't until Luffy went to that island in which that emperor was from, which was Whole Cake Island. Jinbei,
Whole cake.
Whole Cake Island. And yes, that island looks exactly like a giant motherfucking cake.
My dumbass goes, whole cake island. Do they get to eat it too?
Well,
stupid
actually,
joke.
it does come down, and they can eat it.
What?
Yeah,
For real?
yeah.
The island's edible, or are you fucking with me?
Dude, the entire inhabitants of the islands is alive because of Big Mom's ability, because her ability is to manipulate the energy of souls.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Also, I've been pondering Don Quixote now. Moving forward.
I'll get to him in just a bit. So,
Don Quixote?
Don Flamingo.
Oh, okay. Anyways,
So, yeah,
she can manipulate souls.
she has the ability to manipulate souls and soul energy. Basically, life essence.
What does that mean?
It means that basically, if you wanted to stay with her, or if you wanted to be protected by her, to live in her domain,
Mm-hmm.
is to offer a portion of your soul and lifespan to her.
What if you didn't?
Well,
What could
you
she do
you
to you?
give you the choice, live or life. Basically, it's a staring contest between her and you. And if you blink, or if you fear her more than you want to run away, she will take away the entirety of your lifespan.
That's
Essentially,
wild.
rip your soul out of your body.
That's wild.
Yep. And you know what she does with that energy?
Mixing the cake.
And everything on the island.
Oh.
So everything that
She
has
killed a lot of
soul.
people.
Not only did she kill a lot of people, bro, she mated with so many that she basically has the entirety of like every diverse race in One Piece at her lineage.
She a promiscuous cake mommy?
Yeah, you could say that.
All right.
She's,
But the actual-
she's from a unique race of creatures known as homies.
Oh.
Apparently,
She really puts the hoe in homies.
Yeah, because one of the things about her power is that she can bestow it upon any inanimate object, giving it life.
She do look like Gorlak.
Oh. Well, she could bestow it upon other life. What'd you say?
She can bestow life on any inanimate object. We're talking the trees, the hills, the land, the bridges, the food you eat, the plates
Wild.
you clean, anything and everything that is inanimate, she can
Wild.
give life to.
Okay.
And because of that, they also have they're basically being controlled by her too, because it's an extension of her power, therefore an extension of her.
Then how does Jimbe connect to her?
Jinbei swore his allegiance to her so that her influence would protect Fishman Island.
Got it.
I just read Ninja Pirate Mink Samurai Alliance, and I have no idea what that is.
Ninja Pirate Minx Samurai.
I'll if you want a little more info on that, I can give you the full scoop. Yeah, so Jinbei basically swore his allegiance to Big Mom just so that she and her domain
Jinbei.
can protect Fishman Island. But then when Luffy came to Fishman Island, he's like,
Join
Fuck.
my crew.
well, he said join my crew after defeating, the big bad and saving the entire island. And you know what else he does? He's like, I'm going to make this island mine, Luffy.
Because he likes to eat.
Well, not only that, but also because he wanted to protect, because Fishman Island still had to pay a huge sweet tax to basically keep their, protection.
Oh,
So it's like, hey, you pay me or I come and break your shit.
I see.
So they would actually send Big Mom shit ton of candy because that was the price they had to pay. But since Luffy's like, nah, you don't have to do that. I'm gonna make this place mine, so you'll be under my protection. Ha ha! Goes to Whole Cake Island to challenge her, and oh boy, that goes. It's only because Sanji was kidnapped by Big Mom because of the engagement that she made for him, because she wanted the technology of Sanji's family.
Whole Cake Island looks like a stage in Mario Party.
yeah, you could say that.
What? Sanji's family technology.
Yeah, because Sanji is, he is part of the Vinsmoke family.
The Vinsmoke family,
Yeah, he's the Vinsmoke family.
The
Yeah.
Vinsmokes. Go on, tell me more.
Yeah, and
This is very interesting.
yes, it's very interesting. The Vein Smokes basically have a foot in the world of technology because they can mass produce clones, and a lot of it has to do with their ability to use those clones as essential, like instant armies. So any kingdom that basically calls upon them, they get the full force of an entire army at their disposal.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what Big Mom wanted. The
Got it.
technology to basically have instant armies so she can expand on her reign of terror and control.
And she thinks by kidnapping Sanji, she can get that.
No, it's because by kidnapping Sanji, the Vein Smokes would have no choice but
the
to,
Vein Smokes.
because she would basically make an alliance with the Vein Smokes for their technology. She would offer one of her daughters as a as a bride to one of their sons,
Shit, bro.
and that son just happened to be Sanji.
Shit, bro. Okay, so then?
Sanji says he has no choice. Luffy comes back to change his mind. Big Mom says, "Oh, you're not taking him because I'm taking the technology all for myself." Then tries to kill Sanji's family to basically say, "Marriage is done. I don't need your family anymore. Your family can die. I'm going to take all the technology for myself."
So where does Jinbei come out?
Jinbei basically says, "No, Big Mom, you may not. I am going to join the Straw Hat Pirates." And Big Mom says, "Oh, do you dare challenge me to basically, do you swore your allegiance to me? Why should I give you the chance to run away and join someone else's crew? Because I am going to be joining the future king of the pirates crew." So that was like a oh shit moment. Because if an Emperor of the Sea is basically someone who was on par with one of the previous, emperors, or even, the king of the pirates himself, Jinbei made a solemn vow that he would join Luffy's crew, because not only did he save him during the Paramount War, but also because he owes a huge debt to Luffy for saving his island. And also to fulfill the promise that he made to Luffy's older brother, Ace, to look after him. So Jinbei basically said, "Fuck you, bitch, I'm joining another crew." The bitch says, "You dare challenge me?" And gives him the choice of live or life. And he did not flinch. He was not afraid of her. And he kept his soul and, life energy.
And terrified her.
No, he was no longer afraid of what she, was. And because of that, she basically said, "Fuck you, fine." Breaks the alliance between him and Jinbei, and she tries to kill him.
Makes sense.
But in that whole struggle, Jinbei and Luffy and part of the crew, including Sanji, they were all in a rush to just run away, because they had already got who they came for. They went to rescue Sanji, and Jinbei just happened to be there too. So once Jinbei finally made it out and saved everyone, because he was holding, the Big Mom pirates at bay so that Luffy and his crew can run away. And it wasn't until Wano is the one island that was basically the island of Japan.
Okay.
Because it's all like Edo period, you got the shoguns, you got the samurais, all that jazz.
Okay.
And it was right then and there where Jinbei made his claim that I am officially now a part of the Straw Hat crew, and I am their helmsman, the one who steers the ship. Because he can do amazing things when it comes to steering ships, because he can even make ships ride waves.
Sick.
Yeah.
It's pretty dope.
Not to mention, one of his other abilities is that he can actually, it's kind of like a call of fish, but instead he can actually call in whales. Not just any whales, shark whales.
Sick.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, and that's Jinbei, Knight of the Sea.
Steer of ship. I
Steer,
like it.
No, the helmsman of the Straw Hat crew.
Helmsman of the Straw Hat crew.
Yep.
Jinbei. Dope.
Of course, where we are now, because there's a lot of story that comes after Wano, because after
Is that all of the crew?
there is one more, but she isn't officially a part of it because yet
Oh.
she has already made her claim that I want to join your crew, but has yet to basically live out her journey before she becomes an official member of the crew. And that is Yamato. Yamato.
Okay.
The son, but it's a she. But she goes by, because she wants to
pronouns.
be. Yeah. No.
Oh.
No. But her idea, or at least her ideology, is to be like that of Oda. Or no, sorry, like oh my god, I'm
Yoda?
No, not Yoda.
I forgot
Fuck
a
you.
letter.
Not Oda. Not Yoda. Ah, God. Kozuki Odin. She wants to be like Odin.
The thunder god.
No, the shogun of the land who was actually a part of Roger's crew.
Okay.
Odin was the translator of the poneglyphs for Roger.
Oh.
Because the
interesting.
origin of all the poneglyphs and all the inscriptions and all the writing was from Wano. The island that is secluded away from the world government. They are not a part of. They are essentially their own independent country. Outside the control of the world government. And they've maintained their independence and seclusion because of the way the structure of their island works. Because in order to get to their island, you have to basically sail a ship up a cascading waterfall.
Which physically isn't probable.
Yeah. You know how they do it?
How?
They lasso koi to their ship and the koi go up the waterfall.
That's insane.
Yeah. It's kind of like the same idea of how, like, what is it? Salmon?
Salmon swim upstream, yeah.
Yeah, in that sense. But these things are giant koi.
Giant koi. Makes sense. Now that you say giant, it's like, okay, this regular koi, that'd have to be a lot of fucking koi. A lot of koi. My first thought immediately after was Luffy was stretching his arms and he would pull the ship. And then he would stretch his arms real quick and pull the ship.
Even he's not. Well, I wouldn't say that yet because he has. I mean, it's a giant ass ship. He's only one guy. He can't physically lift an entire ship.
True. Spider-Man couldn't stop the train. I mean, he did stop the train actually. Damn, Spider-Man's better than Luffy. Fucking be like that sometimes. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the crew of the One Piece.
That's the crew of the Straw Hats. That is
the One Piece
of the series One Piece.
Tell me more about the figurines.
So these figurines, this one is just a moment in the anime.
Let it be known that these figurines that are out of box on top of the red ones, it is the first time that they are feeling outside air on their plastic bodies. Good Sir Ruben opened them here in studio and set them up.
Yeah, I think I pre-ordered these last year and they just came back this past month.
Wild.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Did you forget about them for a little bit?
No.
You just had them in the back of your mind.
For a lot of the
whole
pre-orders
time.
that I make, I have to order like 6 to 8 months in advance before they even arrive because the pre-orders are like available for purchase, but they're not even out in Japan yet. It isn't until once they are released that they basically
come out in Japan and then they still have to ship them out to you.
Yep, that's it.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah.
So these guys.
Yeah. So this is a scene or a moment in the series that has to do with the fight between Rob Lucci and Luffy. The story depicts of Rob
Lucci and Luffy. That's so funny.
Yeah, it is funny. Funny, even more funny because Luffy calls Lucci Pigeon Guy because Lucci actually has a little a little pigeon on his shoulder that basically speaks every time he's silent.
Interesting. Like a little hype man almost.
Yeah. Because even the pigeon has a suit.
That's funny. Super official pigeon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he calls him Pigeon Boy or Pigeon Man.
Pigeon Guy.
Pigeon Guy.
Yeah, so Rob Lucci is basically one of the head honchos for CP9, which, like I said, it's like basically the security for the world government.
Yeah.
And he is basically the strongest among the group of CP9. when it came down to
That makes sense why he's got the suit.
because in this battle, it was basically Luffy versus Lucci. Lucci, his whole thing was to prevent Luffy from saving Robin. While Robin was being taken away to basically be sent to prison and executed, Luffy basically challenged Lucci, to basically fight to save Robin. But Lucci was probably one of the greatest hurdles that Luffy has ever came across. Because his ability is that he's a devil fruit user of the Zoan type. I think it was a leopard.
So he's really fast.
Very fast.
I see.
And because of his ability to not just transform into a full-on leopard, but also a man-beast transformation where his body basically resembles that of a leopard, he has the best of both worlds.
And you said this is where Luffy said, every time I face this guy, I have to be in gear 2.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. Because when they first, fought, or during that battle where they were fighting, mano a mano, Luffy was literally giving it his all, freaking emptying the freaking... Yeah, you could say that. That's essentially how the whole fight went on.
There's a clip of Fast as Fuck Boy that's just played in the background.
So,
we don't have schizophrenia, I promise. I might have schizophrenia.
During that epic battle between Luffy and Lucci, it was an exchange of power that they, when their fists collided and everything. But when Lucci basically had the upper hand, where Luffy was already weakened, because when he uses second gear, he's draining all of his stamina because of how fast he's moving, how quick his blood is flowing. He's just draining the tank. He's flooring it 100% all the way. Lucci used his body's transformation abilities to basically take the upper hand, using his tail to basically wrap Luffy around and just restrain him for just one moment, where he dished out one of his most powerful attacks, and he just took it it's essentially like taking on a Kamehameha to the face.
That's exactly. I was like, you're setting up for a fucking Kamehameha.
Well, it was like that, but it's basically like a martial art move where you're basically having two punches.
Oh.
And it shook him. It shook Luffy to the core.
We call that the defibrillator.
No, for Lucci, it was I think it was Fist of the Beast King.
Sick.
Something like that. I don't know. I can't remember. Or
Sick.
of the Leopard King.
Okay.
And Luffy took that, and he everyone would assume oh my god, he's down. He's going down. And Luffy was literally unconscious when he took the hit, and then the moment he oh no, his body's leaning back. He basically just unconsciously just comes back up, grits himself, turns around, second gear, and then starts bombarding Lucci with a barrage of punches. But not just any punches, because he has a variety of attacks. Gum Gum Pistol, Gum Gum Rocket, Gum Gum Balloon, Gum Gum Axe, Gum Gum Stamp. But one of his more trademark attacks is the Gum Gum Gatling.
Truth.
Where it's just a barrage of attacks that he's just doing, where it makes it look like he has, multiple hands.
I heard gunshots.
But when he's in second gear, remember what I told you about second gear, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's basically running or moving at the speed of sound. So when he unleashed his Gum Gum Gatling, it was jet Gatling, where every punch is hitting Lucci at the speed of sound.
Sick.
And he just kept going. There wasn't even a stop. He didn't even stop. He just kept going. He kept going until the very sheer cried out, "Yeah!"
How did not turn to mist or ground beef?
No, he was misting.
It's the magic of anime.
He was basically pummeling Lucci through a freaking tower of stone.
It's fucked up.
Yeah. And then after defeating him, because Lucci was out cold, he was coming off that tower out cold. That's when Luffy's I won. And he was just oh shit, now I can't move. And they had, guns, they had cannons, they had battleships aiming everything they had at him to blow up the tower that he was in. But luckily, thanks to the help of Robin, with her Hana Hana no Mi was able to generate hands to basically lift him up and push him over the edge just in the nick of time for one of their most fond crewmen, or because a member of the crew, to save them. And that was the Going Mary.
Mm.
Because even though Mary was basically, a ship, to most people,
Mm-hmm.
it developed essentially developed
Soul.
a soul. And that soul carried on through the whole, journey with them. Up until that last point where they just needed to run. They just needed to escape. And Mary was there to help them get them that far. Because honestly, dude, you would never believe that for an anime to make you cry over a ship so hard like Mary did for everyone.
I wouldn't know. I would never expect a ship to make me cry.
Yeah, well, it sure made me cry.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'd have to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So these other in the box ones. What about these? What's so special about these?
Oh, it's part of a set because I bought these, I think, a couple years back from Anime Expo. I think it cost me like $250 for all three because it was the deal.
Sick.
And these are all like the costume designs for when they went to Wano during their battle with Kaido. Because you got, you got
Nami the
Luffy,
mommy.
you got Chopper, you got Nami, and then you got Zoro. They actually all interconnect too.
Chopper's in there with Luffy.
Yeah, so they actually all interconnect. So when you actually do take them out of the box and put them together, they form like this structure of three little figures.
That's dope.
Yeah. And it was that or like spend like $20 on maybe two. But they were like the smaller ones, the more inexpensive. They're like the ones that you can fidget with. These I got them specifically because like I want to get something that I know I would actually love to look at every single day.
Yeah. And then without pulling them out of the box, they still go together.
Yeah. They interlock.
Yeah.
Or not that they interlock, but on the very top of the box themselves, let me just move this. It actually forms a panoramic illustration.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of characters that I can basically point out to you. But honestly, it would probably keep us here all night.
This is really cool, dude. It's been a lot of fun listening and learning about One Piece.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a great introduction. Now I know the crew. There's gonna be plenty more.
There will be plenty more.
It's not even done.
It's not done yet.
It's not done yet.
We're barely getting into Egghead Island.
Okay.
Yes, because that is the name of the new island that we just got to.
Fun.
And that is basically the island of the future.
Sick.
Because the entire all the world's technology is basically accumulated into that very island because it holds the smartest man in the world, and his name is Dr. Vegapunk.
Circle all the way back, huh?
Yeah.
I like it. All right, I got a question for you.
Tell me.
We'll wrap this sucker
Sure,
up.
let's go.
All right. During your time on this earth, what's something that you've learned that has helped you live a better life?
That for me, what I learned is that the things that you have control over or that you don't have control over, for me, if I have control of how I can take something apart without breaking it, or if I do end up breaking it, it doesn't mean I can't learn how to fix it. Because for me, anything that I break, sometimes I can fix, sometimes I can't fix. But what made me learn how to, understand things is because I broke them as a kid. Of course, I got in trouble for it, but because of me having that curiosity to understand how things come apart and knowing how to put them back together is what made me who I am now. I tried it with my sister's MP3 player. That worked. Of course, she still scolded me because taking away a teenager's MP3 player back then was like taking away their phone. And if you break it, you would catch all hell. And it even advanced me so far as to, because I can actually say that I took apart a solar power generator and I knew how to put it back together.
That's true. I remember you told me about that. Sick. Okay.
And that's why I am who I am now, because I know how to. That's my whole spiel now. I can take things apart and put them back together.
Learning how to understand how things work.
Yeah. Also, Lego helped a lot more of that. too.
Nice.
I learned how to Lego, and Lego helped me.
Love it. So, let go and enjoy the rest of the night.
Let go.
It's been fun, dude.
Yeah,
We'll do
man.
it again. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man.